Goodness. I want to thank, let me pull this up a little bit, I'm tall. First I want to thank Ms. Kenya Farley for allowing me and creating space for me to be here and trusting me to speak to you all today about something that's so important to me, and that's resilience. And I know it's important to you. I know you all hold that within you because you're Black, right? Your skin is like my skin, so that's inherent. We're going to get into that very shortly. But again, I just wanted to say thank you to the National MS Society. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm very, very grateful to be here. And it's so funny that we're talking about resilience because what a week I've had. Rachel, you asked the question, like, who is it that we look to when it comes to being resilient? How do we do that? Let me pull this out here. And for me, aside from looking within, I have to give credit to family. So this table here that I was sitting at, this is family, y'all. If y'all have seen Blake, the guy with the camera, he's camera guy, he is health coach, he is every, you name it, like best friend. I look to those people who fill me up when my cup is empty. So I'm very grateful for you all coming out and supporting. Y'all could have been anywhere else, so thank you for that. And then in addition to that, everybody in this room, I know many of these faces, I see you all quite often. And to take time out of your day to come and hear me chit-chat about this topic is just amazing to me. So thank you very much. Yeah. There we go. All right. Can y'all still hear me? Okay. All right. So, but yeah, I just wanted to stop and say that. Now, before we get into everything and go deep into the topic of resilience, I want to start on a lighter note. I'm going to take you all back to when I was younger. I have young parents, y'all, so my parents are in their 60s. I ain't gonna tell you how old I am, but my parents are in their 60s. And so I was one of those kids that grew up around my grandma. And I had a real grandma. She was that, get in there and sit down somewhere, grandma. Going outside, close the door. Stop running in and out. She was that grandma. And so, but I remember being younger and watching cartoons, and this realization hit me not too long ago. Watching cartoons, I love Looney Tunes. I love to laugh. If y'all know me, you know I'm silly. So Looney Tunes for me was one of those favorite things. And if you think about Looney Tunes, one of the characters you think about is Bugs Bunny, right? That's the most recognizable character. And I won't say he was my favorite, but that's the one that I would maybe connect myself with the most. He was funny. He always got the upper hand, always had the last laugh, clever, right? So this is the guy that I felt like, if I would connect myself to someone as I get older, I'll be more like Bugs Bunny. But as I got older and grew up, became a mom, experienced some life, and had some things happen, I realized I'm more like this guy. That's me. Y'all know who that is? Wile E. Coyote. So growing up, Wile E. Coyote, I would almost skip over his episodes, right? Like, hurry up, get back to Bugs Bunny, get back to the funny stuff. I didn't understand his thought process. I mean, every episode he was chasing this road runner. Every time he was messing up, he was getting blown up, falling off the cliff. I was like, give it up. Like, figure something else out. But what I realized when I became older was that, this is kind of how life is. And life is the road runner. And so I spent a lot of time chasing things down, chasing my dreams, figuring out what's what, being flipped upside down. And so before I go into that, I just wanted to show you this because once I made that connection, like, this is me, I went on YouTube and I looked up these videos and I was killing myself laughing at myself. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I want to show you all this just so you remember. If you forgot, we're going to go back home to Grandma's house and we're going to watch little cartoons here. There we go. Down the cliff. Look at the face all the way down. Yeah. Okay, so let's try something else. Okay, is this gonna work? No, it's not gonna work. It's the face for me. Same spot, but he felt a little different that time. Okay, we got a safety net this time. This gotta work. It's gotta work, right? Yeah. We're finna get you now. Okay, there you go. Maybe not. any worse. He just fell down, and okay, now he's electrocuted. Oh, that's me. Take off faster this time. Right off the cliff. Right on down. Y'all get where I'm going with this? Yeah, there's life. Snuck up behind you. Yeah, so I cracked up looking at these videos. Yeah, this one is just taking the time. Yeah. So, I think y'all kind of get where I'm going with these things. Yeah. Hilarious. Yeah, I didn't get it. Why not give up? Why not just give it up? So this is how life was for me at one point, and there are many times I just wanted to throw in the towel. But as I got older, I had a lot of, my thought process for him changed, and I realized that he's resilient. That's what resilience looks like. So if you want to, on a lighter note, I have a lot more respect for Wiley than I did back in my younger days. What a resilient character. The ability to keep getting up. Okay, I fell down. Okay, I got kicked off the cliff. All of those things, and to continue to get up and chase after what you desire. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So I want you to understand, resilience isn't always pretty. Resilience doesn't always look like this wonderful story. And many times when we see these people get up and they talk about, oh, I made it here, but then the backstory, what happened behind the scenes, it's not always beautiful. Sometimes we have to ask for help. That can be difficult too for those strong people. So, but it's not always pretty, but we continue, right? We try, we fail, we fall, we repeat. We try, we fail, we fall, we repeat. But the goal in this is to keep going and not to quit. So that's my little funny blurb, right? That's just, I thought about that and I was like, let me just tell them, this is real life. When I stand up in front of you all, I'm not talking about what I heard, I'm telling you what I know. I don't have MS, but I work with many people who have MS, spinal cord injury, brain injury. And when I started my journey in wellness, I thought I would be working with athletes. My goal was, I want to help people to heal after they've gotten out of the game. And then I started working in therapy. And I was like, this is where it's at. Because I would come in dragging my feet, tired, and trying to figure out life. And I was talking to people who had maybe just had a car accident or who have MS. And they were up and ready to go before. Let's go, let's get to it. I got to learn how to walk again. Let's go, let's get to it. I got to figure out my life. I got to get my health together. So it was inspiring for me to do this. And so this is not by accident. It's by design that I'm standing in front of you. So we're going to talk about resilience today, the power that is within us. We just heard that we have the tool belt. I'm going to give you all some tools, but I want you to understand that we all have our own toolboxes. If you're born in this experience, you have all the tools that you need to get through this life. Everybody's toolbox is different. You have what you need to manage. We just got to figure out how to use it. So you can have all the tools in the world, but if you don't know how to use a hammer or a saw or whatever that's in there, I don't know. I don't do work like that. Whatever's in the toolbox that you have to learn. If you don't know how to use it, then we need a little guidance sometimes, but you have it within you. So I want you to read this. When we talk about resilience in the Black community, we are not talking about something that we're trying to become. We are talking about something that we already are. This is inherent within us. This goes back, way back, and I'm going to talk about this too because when we hear about our lineage, our heritage, and way back, usually we go back to about right around slavery, right? But we go way back beyond that. There's a whole story beyond just slavery, so we're going to get into that here. Before we do that, the definition of resilience, and this is just my kind of synopsis, the ability to recoil or spring back into shape after bending, stretching, or being compressed, right? So the ability to bounce back, the ability to come back after life bends you, or after MS stretches you, or challenges compress you down. But resilience is the power that brings you back. And we just heard a lot of wonderful stories in here. I was like, well, I don't think I need to get up and talk. Because between everybody telling their story, this is it. This is all we need. But this is what I mean. We're in a room full of of family. This is family here. And sometimes we need to have these conversations. Many times within our community and within our own families, we just don't talk about these things. We don't tell our stories. And so you never know who you're going to touch and connect and be able to help them to bounce back and to spring back by just sharing your experiences. So this is so important. So resilience is in our DNA. Congratulations, welcome, you're a Black person. It's in there. When you were born, it was there. We are the originators. Don't let anybody tell y'all different. Nobody else can have any other race out there but us. We started this thing, so it's in there. So I want to remind you that we come from innovators. We come from leaders, originators. Our story did not begin with struggle. We didn't start at slavery. We started way back. It began with greatness. And so when you hear those things, I want you to embrace that. Many times, and especially now, I think things are kind of over-popularized, and we hear a lot of wake up and being woke. But on the very basis of it, I really want you to when you hear those things, I want it to resonate with you that we are so many different things. So do you know who you are? Have you been taught your full history? Were you only taught slavery? Our history goes far beyond oppression. Our history is invention, leadership, brilliance, and resilience. And so I want to go back to the full history of slavery. No one ever told me growing up, and I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, so I grew up in the South. I grew up in a very black-white city. Everything's very segregated. We know what happened there. And so nobody ever said, hey, Sheree, you know that you are on the down line of kings and queens. Nobody ever said that. Nobody ever, imagine hearing that as a 5-year-old, like, you know that you come from kings and queens. I would have puffed my chest up a little bit more. I would have walked around like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Nobody ever said those things, and I think we need to say that more. I think we need to remind ourselves, and I think we need to pass those things down. And that goes beyond just February. It goes beyond just Black History Month. Y'all hear that, right? Beyond that. Like, they handed us a month, okay. And that was intentional being February, okay. It's 28 days in a month, okay. Thanks. But outside of that, that's our responsibility. No one is going to step up and say, let's teach our kids about Black history. No, we got to do that. And we got to tell the truth, and we got to take it beyond the struggle part of things. So our origins, look at that. That's what we look like, right? Right, Kevin? Okay. That is us. Who are we? We come from kings and queens, ancient African civilizations. There's no reason to not know your heritage. We got the internet now. When I was growing up, we had to look in the encyclopedias. We had the guy that came by and sold the whole thing. My mom and dad still have that in their house. Like, you have to take that down, get the internet down. Like take it down. But literally, I remember doing book reports, and that's all we had, that one little paragraph of, and it wasn't very detailed. So now you can look up anything that you want. You can find out about where we come from and who you really are. Scholars, mathematicians, architects, warriors. And I say that because this is a room full of warriors. If you got up and you made it in today, and I understand how that can be, just getting up out of the bed and saying, okay, I'm gonna wash my face, I'm gonna take a shower, I'm gonna eat, and then by the time you finish that, are you fatigued already? Are you tired? And then it's on the, do I want to go? Well, I said I was going to go. I don't want to not go. I do that. And I don't have that. So I'm just like, oh, I'll sit on the side of the bed, scratch my legs for a second. Oh, my God. So, but here's the thing, that warrior within, we have to tap into that. We have to tap into the God that is within us. God is not outside somewhere. God is in here. It's in here, and we should be able to see that within each other. But I'm not gonna get into all of that. We're gonna go here. When you understand where you come from, it changes how you see what you're capable of overcoming. So again, if I had known way back when I was tiny that I came from kings and queens, maybe as I grew into adulthood, I would have been able to address those things a little bit differently. I had to learn that. I was like, oh, wait, what now? Because growing up, when I looked at Africa, when they presented what black people come from, it was always impoverished. It was, can you donate 38 cents a day for special kids? And what's going on? I didn't want to go there. If you had asked me back then, do you want to go visit Africa? They got huts and things. No. There's African ancient civilizations there. The history of everything that we have now came from and started from over there. So again, there's no disconnect. That's not some faraway place. That's right here in this room. We are everywhere. So that takes me to this whole thing. Reframing the word minority. That word gives me the ick. It does. And trust me, I understand it's part of what we are experiencing. You got to check it. When you are filling out a business application, you're African American or you're a minority-owned business owner. You are this. So it's part of our experience here. However, there's nothing minor about us.
That's right.
Nothing minor about us. We are major. So listen, when you hear the word minority, I want you to just let it rest really quickly, and then I want you to brush it off. If you got to check that box, check it and keep it moving. If you got to answer to it and keep it moving, because the more you let it sit on you and get into your subconscious, then that affects how you're moving around in the community, right? And that's one of those things you hear over and over again. So it's ingrained in our mind. We pass it on to our kids, not even realizing that by continuing to say that, it sets in your spirit. And I want us to take that word out. We are creators. We are innovators. We're culture shapers. Everything out there, we do it first. Or they copy, right? So, and let me just be very clear, because when I have these conversations, and I'm very unapologetic about being black, this is not to exclude other races. I love everybody. That's what we're here for. However, I'm not going to tiptoe around the fact that I know who I am, I know who we are, and I'm not going to smush it down anymore. We're not supposed to be smushing this down. We're supposed to embrace that. Culture shapers. Do not think of yourself as minority. Think of yourself as major. Major. So I just got some pictures up here. I want to remind you now, does anything look minor about these pictures here? Y'all know who these people are? Yeah. Here, Morgan. Yeah. Nina Simone. Yeah. Okay? These are major players. Major. We hear all this stuff about NASA. Yeah. Even recently. Major. Okay. I mean, we can have this whole argument. That's why I put them both up here. So I'm going to say MJ, so I'm going to say LeBron. I was like, let me just put both pictures on my head. Yeah. And there we go. Y'all gotta clap it up for that. Talk about major, talk about overcoming and saying, you know what, despite what society says, I can take the highest place in this country. I can take the highest position there. That opened up so many doors. So I put that up there as a reminder. And these they're celebrities, these are billionaires, millionaires, but they are you as well. These are your people. So remember that. If you're ever feeling low or feeling like, I don't know if I can do this, remember who you are. Remember who you are. All right, so we talked about who we are. Now let's talk about MS and your identity. So MS is secondary to who you are. First of all, you're black. Before you realized you had MS, you came out of this world, your skin was black. And all these different colors of black that we are, we're so beautiful, by the way. We're powerful. We are resilient. And we are whole. So that's that toolbox I was telling you about. Like everybody has their own toolbox, and you have everything in your toolbox that you need to make it through this life. You have it all. You are whole. Sometimes we got to figure it out. Sometimes we're trying to figure out what the saw does and all the things.